We are finally live. Hey, everybody. I am Haley Gray, and we are here doing one of our first lives talking about the Women's Entrepreneur Network Summit that is happening in April. And what I'm so excited about is that this summit is going to be focusing on sales, traffic, and funnels. Because here's the thing, as somebody who has grown my business organically using a Facebook group and grown it organically to 76,000 members, I know absolutely that can be a great choice for some people, but at the same time, you still have to learn all the sales skills. You still have to learn all the business skills. For other people, funnels and software funnels and click funnels are their thing. There are lots of right ways to build a sales and marketing process out in your business, lots of different strategies. And that's what we're going to be talking about for 3 days, April 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And one of our phenomenal speakers that's going to be here with us during that time is Dr. Atoya Hodges. And what I love about her is that she focuses on that duality of business. You don't have a business if you don't have a person, if you're not taking care of yourself. If you run yourself off the edge of the cliff, trying to learn how to do marketing and do sales and do all the things, you're going to destroy yourself. So we're going to be talking about marketing and sales from a don't destroy yourself perspective, because one of the things I put up on my wall the other day is that, let's quit glamorizing killing ourselves in our businesses. Mm-hmm. Let's quit trying to take ourselves right off the edge of a cliff. Let us quit trying to, do on 3 hours of sleep a night. Because y'all, that does not work for any period of time. You will land yourself sick, dead, and in the hospital. And if there is no you, there will be absolutely no business. And this time we're going to be focusing on the tactical aspects of growing your business and sales, marketing, and funnels, and doing it in a way that's authentic and real and no scammy, spammy, slimy, nasty stuff. So welcome, Dr. Atoya Hodges from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm very excited about, being a part of this summit, and very excited about talking about the importance of, our mindset. And as you keep talking about, becoming your authentic self, and, a part of a lot of what I work with individuals on is figuring out who their authentic self is, but more importantly, how to overcome certain fears of growth in a business. Because as we know, that's a big thing. If you're trying to grow your business, then that means you're more visible. And oftentimes when you become more visible, that means more people are looking at you. And then you run into a new set of fears and insecurities that you never knew that existed. And it can be very hurtful to yourself, your self-worth, your business, your bank account. And so the mental health component of being an entrepreneur is imperative. Those have to work hand in hand, because if you're trying to build a business and you're not working on your mental health, you're going to have a huge problem, and you're going to be fighting drastically.
Right. And one of the things that I want to point out is, we're talking about sales. There is so much psychology involved in sales that you have to reach out to people. You have to build relationships with people that you would have never thought to build relationships with before you got into business.
Absolutely.
And I'm an introvert. I'm an engineer with an MBA, and I do tons of stuff in marketing, but that in and of itself does not scream extrovert. And I like people, but did not start liking going to networking meetings, liking
Mhm.
meeting strangers necessarily. And
Mhm.
I've had to really change how I approach that and how I feel about that. And a lot of things about who I am as a person. I mean, y'all would have died laughing hysterically had you seen me at the first networking meetings I went to 10 years ago when I first started getting out and networking. I literally would hang on to the side of the room because I'm claustrophobic and
Mhm.
talking to all these weird strangers and doing all this stuff. And oh my God, I had to put myself out there. And do you know how incredibly, utterly terrifying that was? And it's hard to get sales if you're scared to talk to people
Absolutely.
because they
Yeah.
might say no. And they
Mhm.
probably are going to say no.
Yeah. And then when they start to say no, then you start to internalize, well, what did I do wrong? I said something wrong. And then you begin to start beating yourself up. And then when
Mhm.
you beat yourself up, then can we welcome in procrastination and avoidance? Because now we don't feel worthy. We feel like what we're offering isn't good enough. So then we start procrastinating because now we want everything to be perfect. And then there's never anything going to be perfect enough because you never feel good enough or worthy enough. And so you don't put yourself out there. And then you get no sales. And then you look at other people like, how do they get, why is it so easy for them? And it's like, it wasn't easy for any of us
Yeah.
to put ourselves out there because so many of us are looking for safety and security. And exposing ourselves does not bring in safety and security. So we retreat. And then when we retreat, guess what happens? There goes our sales.
Mhm.
And then we're wondering, like, why is my business not making money? Because of that. And,
Right.
I always say that becoming an entrepreneur brings out things in your life that you never knew existed because you're in a spotlight.
Well, and it brings out insecurities you never knew you had. And
Mhm.
even like as long as I've been in business, even as much as we make a year, um, I will tell you that there are times where maybe a client isn't happy and I have to deal with people that are unhappy or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, I did my best. I bent over backwards and you're still not happy.
Mhm.
And coming to that point of there's nothing wrong with me and there's nothing wrong with you, but I may not ever be able to make you happy. And that doesn't mean that I'm necessarily a bad person.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
And
talk about head
mhm.
games.
Right. And it's boundaries when we create a business because in the beginning we're just like, oh, I'm just going to take any client that comes to me because I need the money. And
Yeah,
then once
totally.
you realize you're not aligned, and then when you do have clients that are not happy, you automatically jump into that people pleasing, like, well, I need to please them. And it's just like any other relationship. It may just not be a good fit. That doesn't mean that it's you, but you're going to take it as you because it's your business. It's your reputation. It's on you. I know when I've built several 7, 8 million or 7, 8 figure businesses, like that's what I did for many, many years. That was my job. And then when I started building my own, it was a different set of rules, because it was just like, oh my God, all the responsibility is on me. If people mess up, it's on me. It's not on my employees. And it's like you start to see, like you said, different insecurities. I didn't have these insecurities as a consultant, but
Yeah.
they showed up and like even now, even though I don't have a big corporation, but now I'm the product. And when you're the product, then it's a whole
Right.
different ball game again, because
Right.
now
Selling
it's like,
yourself. Oh my gosh, right?
mm-hmm. And it's like, and not to say this in a negative way, but it's kind of like you have to address that prostitute archetype because you're sitting back here thinking like, I'm selling myself for money. And then you're
Mhm.
just like, wait a minute. Like there's some deepness that's within us because we've always been told that's not good. That's shameful. So you're carrying this unknowing shame. It's like an undercurrent going on underneath you that you don't even realize that you're carrying. And so mental health is so important for entrepreneurs, like especially as you're building the business, because all of this does relate back to the sales and marketing.
Yeah.
For certain.
And in sales and marketing is 100% a mindset and a head game. And,
Absolutely.
you know, it is really hard to learn how to connect to people on a real cellular level. Like I've connected to you, you know, we've connected, but I'm not here to be sleazy or slimy or, you know, whatever, or push my stuff onto you for the sake of pushing it onto you. And there's a lot of things that have to change, you know, from a sales perspective and a mindset perspective of, you know, it's a service. And then there's the whole, you know, like you're talking about that whole prostitute archetype. I can't serve you if I don't sell to you, if I don't charge you. I'm not going to be able to serve you. And if I don't charge you enough, here's one of the things I really struggle with is, you know, in my daytime corporate job when I worked, you know, 10 years ago, yeah, I made $50 an hour. But here's the thing. As a consultant, as somebody who's selling my own services, I can't charge $50 an hour if I wanted to, because I wouldn't be able to feed myself or even afford to put gas in my car at the end of the day.
Right.
And I certainly can't afford to charge $50 an hour and pay employees to do the work and do it with any degree of skill and then have any profit left over at the end of the day. So then I'm working myself right into a ground. So that's another mistake that entrepreneurs frequently make, is that we're selling stuff, but we're not selling it at high enough of a profit that we, or at high enough of a margin that we can actually hire somebody so that we can actually pay ourselves a salary.
Absolutely.
And it's all mind game.
Yeah, and that's part of it. It's like, you know, when you start to open a business, one of the first things I teach everybody is before you create a business plan, create your exit plan. Because you should only build a business for two reasons. One is to create your legacy, or two, to create generational wealth for your family. The common denominator in both of that is you're not going to be a part of it in the future. So how do you build your business from the beginning with it not being dependent upon you? Or if not, you've just got a very expensive hobby.
Well, or you've just built yourself a very lovely job, right? Because if you don't build it with that exit strategy in mind, and your sales process and your marketing processes and your operations in your business aren't structured around that exit strategy, that notion that you will eventually exit from the business, somehow, some way, you're going to sell it, you're going to give it to your children or whatever. If it's not a business in a box because you didn't start with the end in mind, a la Stephen Covey, you can't do it. You can't ever exit from it or sell it for anything approximating what it should be worth because you didn't take the time at the beginning to do it.
Yeah. And it goes back to the same mindset, because we never want to think about the fact that we're not going to be a part of our business.
Right. Well, and I mean, what are you going to want to do in 10 years? Do you really want to still be doing the exact same thing in 10 years, or do you want to build it up and sell it and, you know, move on to, you know, wherever, doing whatever. Exactly. But you don't have that option if you don't plan for it.
Nope. So it's just getting that mindset around that and just, you know, putting out your fears and whatever it is. And, you know, like, do a personal SWOT analysis on yourself. Like, that's the biggest thing when you're starting a business or as an entrepreneur, is understanding where your weaknesses and threats are within you, because those are going to be the same weaknesses and threats in your business. If you have a problem procrastinating within yourself, or avoidance, or like you said, being an introvert, then all those things are going to show up in your business. They don't just go away when you show up at work.
What?
I know it's surprising, but yeah.
Very surprising. Totally. I'm shocked, really. No, I mean, what you are and who you are and what your strengths are magnify, and what your weaknesses are also magnify in the worst possible ways as your business grows, as your business scales. If you choose to scale your business, even if you don't choose to scale your business, it is amazing how you will absolutely magnify and in the most awful ways where your weaknesses are.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's imperative to know where they are and create a plan to eliminate them, or, like for me, hire somebody. Like, I don't know how to do a website, so guess who I hired? Like, well, let's go to the expert. Like, that's not my cup of tea. Or, even doing copy. No, I'm a good teacher, I'm a good consultant, I'm a good process person, but when it comes to me writing it, no, I can write curriculum, but I don't know how to write sales and marketing. So then I outsource that, and I think that's the biggest thing. Like, your weakness doesn't mean that you're the one that has to fix it. It just means that that's a weakness. And if it's not something that's easily fixed, then hire the experts. But it's having that trust within yourself, which goes back to the mindset, is having that trust within you to be able to outsource it to the right people, instead of continuing to drown in it. And that just feeds that unworthiness and those fears and that anxiety, which then escalates. So
yeah, it does. And the thing about it is, like, if you're afraid of something, you have to face it. Unfortunately, when you're the business owner, you could run from it, but I can guarantee that what's going to happen is it's going to keep coming back and teaching you the lesson over and over again until you learn it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it shows up differently.
Oh, yeah. No, you're going to get different facets of it, different dimensions, different, mutations, all of the things. And it's going to definitely keep showing up until you learn to manage it. And I will tell you, I have definitely had that challenge in my own life and my own business. I continue to deal with that. There are definitely things I don't do perfectly, and I am learning that is going to keep showing up over and over again. I hated my shamanic teacher when she told me that. And I'm like, what? I already dealt with this once. What do you mean I have to keep doing it? Well, until it gets through your little noggin of a head, it's going to keep coming back to bless you over and over again.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's like, even by me being a shaman and a therapist and a hypnotherapist and a spiritual healer, I face things on a daily basis too. I have a team of healers and therapists that are behind me, because yes, I can help other people, but the only way I can elevate is by continuing to work on me. It's like one of the things, I started this weight loss process, and one of the things the coach keeps saying is that getting started is hard, but maintaining is harder.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same thing in business. Getting started is hard, but then once you get to a certain income level and once you get to a certain growth, it's even harder to maintain it. So you have to definitely elevate your game, especially if you're continuing to want to grow it, because you can't stay stagnant as an individual and grow your business. That's not even in alignment. So and then if you do grow in your business, but you haven't grown, guess what? Whoop, right back to where you were at.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, this has been awesome. Y'all sign up for the WEN Summit. Make sure that you are there. We would love to have you. Atoya is going to be one of our amazing speakers. Grab your tickets now. Get the VIP upgrade so you can get all the recordings. We cannot wait to see you there. Thank you for doing this with me. I am so delighted to have you here today. And I'm so delighted that you can make it.
Yes, I'm so glad.
Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.